Today I am here with a very interesting piano that is for sure nothing that you get to see every day. Now I'm sure that many of you are familiar with player pianos, and in fact they're quite common. Yamaha has digital versions today with a disclavier system, and mechanical versions have been around for at least 100 years, if not more, with all the bellows and the gears and mechanisms inside where you put a roll in the front of the piano and then it basically plays itself when you either pump it or you drive an electric motor that plugs into the wall. But this takes that idea to an entirely new level, because not only is there a piano inside of here, but there's a total of 12 instruments, including xylophone, drums, cymbals, castanets, triangles. It's wild. There's even an organ, a small organ, but an actual reed pipe organ inside of this instrument. So as you can see, I have the fallboard closed because it's a kind of an interesting design. It's just this two-piece design that many older pianos use, and I think even some newer pianos use this design. I'm not sure though. And as you can see, once you open it up, it has the JP Seeburg logo, and then underneath it says Orchestrion, and it was made in Chicago. It's a very, very cool logo, and I really love the design. It kind of has like an old-time feel, but it's also very elegant and very beautiful. I love the it's not really scripting or scroll work, but it's just really cool little elegant designs around the outside of the logo. It's a very, very nice logo. Now the wood that this instrument is made of is oak, and it's been stained with this nice dark color. It looks really great, and as you can see, the whole instrument itself is extremely, extremely elaborate. Now in case you're curious, the piano itself does not go all the way up to here. The bass strings are not that long. It's basically, the piano, I think the top tuning pins are about this high, so it's really just a standard height piano, but the rest of the height is taken up with drums and the organ and all kinds of other cool things inside. And in fact, if you take a look back here behind these people, which I'll talk about in a minute, there's little knobs that say piano, this one says xylophone, this one says drums, and there's two more on the other side, and these are actually like volume controls, and you can activate and deactivate instruments. The piano says soft and loud. This one here for the xylophone says off and on, and same here for the drums. So if you don't want to have the drums going or the xylophone going for whatever reason, I think they're really awesome and you'd want to have them going, but if you wanted to switch it off for a certain song, you can with that little knob there. Now these people here actually have names. This one here is Beauty, and she is a woman, and this one here is Strength, and he is a man, and they help hold up the piano, and it's a very, very cool look. It's very fancy, and I've never seen anything like that. Of course, these are hand carved, and they're very awesome. There's lots of detail that went into, you can see like the hairlines and everything, and lots of detail went into that, and it looks really great. Now up on top here, we actually have little stained glass parts. This here is an actual window, and there's light inside of there. When you activate the machine, there's lights that are inside of here. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a light back here as well. I didn't notice that, but there very well could be. There's also more stained glass lights up here, and there's 3 of them here, and then there's also lights inside the instrument as well. And this here is all leaded stained glass, and it's very, very awesome. It looks really beautiful. There's also a logo up here again. This is JP Seeburg Piano Company, Chicago. So, very, very cool. Now these are not actual organ pipes, and I'm not sure if they're meant to represent organ pipes or a candelabra, but either way, they're not like actual candles or actual organ pipes. They're simply ornamental, but they look very cool, and they really make the instrument look a lot fancier. I think if those weren't there, the instrument would still look really cool, but they really add an extra bit of detail to the instrument. They are actual metal, and they are actual ornamental pieces. Here are those other 2 knobs I was talking about. This one says violin, and this one says flute. So there's also a violin and a flute hidden somewhere inside of this instrument, which is really, really incredible to think that people managed to make not only a piano, but all these other instruments fit inside of this very elaborate wooden box, and then also play themselves in the 1920s. It's really incredible. So now I'm going to open this up, and in a minute you're going to be able to hear this play, and it's a really amazing thing. But these doors actually open, and now you can see just some of the incredible, incredible artistry and engineering that went into this instrument. If we open this up here, as you can see here, the first thing that you see is the xylophone itself, and these little mallets would be driven by the bellows, so when the bellows contract, I assume that the ball would come forward and it would hit the xylophone bar and make a sound according to what the piano roll told us to do. Behind that we have the organ pipes. These are reed pipes. I can see, I believe they are, I can see a little reed down here, a little brass reed, and that looks to me like they're reed pipes. They sound like reed pipes, and so that is what I would say they are. So behind the xylophone and the reed pipes for the small organ, that is where the piano is, and if you look at the back there, you can see the harp for the piano as well as the tuning pins and strings and hammers for the piano, and it would be quite a challenge to actually get a tuning hammer back there to tune, but it can be done, and but that is where the piano is. As you can see, the top of the harp is about right here, so if all of the other stuff wasn't here and it was just a normal piano, that's about how tall the piano would be, maybe about a 40-inch piano. So that's how big of a piano is fit inside of this instrument, and then we have all kinds of other instruments in here as well. We have a bass drum here. Now these 3 mallets will hit the bass drum. If I've noticed in the song, sometimes they only use the middle one, but other times if they want a bass drum roll, the other 2 on the side will trigger and go back and forth to hit the bass drum head. This here is a snare drum as well, and the single little mallet or stick, or whatever you want to call that. I'm sure it has a technical name, but I'm just going to call it a mallet. You can either hit the snare drum once just for a single snare attack, or it can even bounce really fast on the snare head to get a roll effect, which is really cool. There's even a castanet here, so you can get some like Latin music going on. Back here, I'm seeing the triangle. So there's a triangle in here. We also have a cymbal, which is above the triangle and to the front. And according to the instrument itself, somewhere in here is a violin and a flute, and I don't know where those are located. In the song that it performs with this particular role, the flute and the violin, as well as the xylophone, did not do anything, and I'm not sure where those are, but I am seeing some mechanisms over here. There's a wooden box. It could be for the light on the stained glass window on the side that I talked about, or there could be a flute and a violin stuffed inside of there somewhere. I'm trying to find it, because the instrument says it has it, and I don't know where it is, but that's kind of cool. If you look down here, these are all the pneumatic tubes that drive the bellows to activate the things like the organ, the piano, the xylophone, and all that. These black ones look like they go to control the bellows for the xylophone. These white ones, I don't actually know where those go. Maybe those drive the piano, and it's a really, really complicated thing, and it's really fascinating. Now actually what we have down here is you can actually see the mechanisms that help drive everything, and it's really wild. These doors also open. This one should come out. It might just have a little latch. I don't know how that one opens, but I know it does. There, it has a latch. Okay, so this is the inside of the piano, the underneath, and here you can see all the bellows that drive the pneumatic tubes, as well as the electric motor that pumps air into the bellows, inflates them, and then provides air pressure. Now this is an original motor. Then this has been restored and gone through, but this is the original motor that would have come with it in 1920. As you can see, it's kind of similar to modern electric motors, but it's a lot more beefy and a lot bigger and stronger, and I'm sure that this is like, that's like really thick metal. That's wild. There is a badge on top of it, but there's not enough light to read it. It could be like a restoration badge, or it could be some kind of thing. It says J.P. Seeburg by the Holzer Cabot Electric Company. Probably not pronounced Cabot, but that's how it's spelled. C-A-B-O-T, Boston, USA. That's really cool. Ow, hit my head. That's really cool. So that motor was made by, I forget the name now, Holzer Cabot Electric Company. And you can see all these wheels and gears. This is the roll system. So then basically what happens is the instrument will suck air in through all these little holes, and then as the paper turns and the paper opens for each hole, that tells a note on the instrument to play. And I don't exactly know how it tells the other instruments like the xylophone and the other instruments, the 12 total instruments in there to play, but I know that that's how it works for the piano, and it probably has like multiple layers or something. It's very wild, and I don't know all of the technology that is behind this instrument, but it's really cool. If you look back here, you can see the strings for the piano, and as you might be able to tell, it's very dark back there, but I can see that the strings have been replaced, and as I said, the instrument has been completely restored, and it's in full working order, which is absolutely amazing. This is about one of approximately 50 instruments like this that exist in the world, so this is a very rare instrument, and the fact that it's been restored and it's in working condition is absolutely amazing. It's not something you get to see every day, and it's absolutely fantastic. So hopefully you've enjoyed taking a look at the inside of this instrument and seeing a bit of the behind the scenes of how it works. And it's really wild that this was made in 1920 and it still works, and it works very well. It's amazing. So I'm going to lock this somehow. There we go. Then this one comes in and should lock like that. That's locked. Okay, good. So now let's put a nickel inside of this machine because it is in fact a Nickelodeon. That is the name for some of these instruments. They I guess marketed it as perhaps an Orchestrion, but on the side of this instrument here, I'm going to close this so we can get a better look at it. There's actually a little slot where you can input a nickel. Back in 1920, you could put in a nickel, and of course that's still how it works today. You put in a nickel, and then the instrument lights up, the pneumatics fire up, and then it starts doing its thing. So let's hear what that sounds like. It's absolutely wild. So I just learned an interesting fact about this instrument. As I told you earlier, there's the two knobs that say flute and violin, and I thought that that meant there was actually a real classical flute inside it and a real classical violin that will actually be played. But in fact, the organ pipes inside actually are meant to represent the sound of a violin and a flute. And like I said, there are the reed pipes in there, but there's also a set of flute pipes that I somehow missed, and those, of course, would be the flute sound, and the reed pipes are supposed to imitate the sound of a violin. So I was wrong. There is not an actual violin stuffed inside of this instrument, but there are the organ pipes that are meant to sound like a violin and a flute. So I really hope that you've enjoyed this instrument. It's a very, very unique instrument. Now, of course, because it has a piano keyboard, you can come up to it and play it. So if you wanted to sit down and just play the instrument yourself, you can totally do that, but I think it's so awesome to get to see all the other instruments inside, because you cannot control those manually from the outside of the instrument. You have to give it money to be able to see the full show. And so you can, if you had an instrument like this, I mean, I imagine back in 1920, this would be something that a very, very rich person would have, and they could basically just have like automatic concerts in their house and put money in it and receive concerts. It's really, really cool. I've never seen anything quite on this level, and it's just absolutely mind-blowing, and I hope that you guys really loved it as well. It's a fantastic instrument, and hopefully you enjoyed it. Now, if you want to go check out my channel, you can do that. I don't have any videos on player pianos quite like this. I do have a video on a much simpler player piano I did a while back, but I do have videos on concert grand pianos and all kinds of pianos, large and small, and everything in between, which now includes this amazing, amazing instrument. So you can go check out that stuff, and if you want to subscribe, thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.